This is Rick Gailey, and I want to welcome you from the coach's office, where I'm sitting in my man cave with all my video equipment around, trying to learn something about the great game of football and bring you information that you just can't find anywhere else. I appreciate you listening in. I'm having to pre-record this here on Thursday because tonight I am broadcasting the De La Salle Psi Academy game at Pan American Stadium. De La Salle, undefeated on the season, should not have much trouble with Psi Academy, which is actually on the site of the Abramson campus. In fact, the name of the school overall is Abramson Psi Academy. So looking forward to broadcasting that game tonight with Jude Young from Pan American Stadium. So that's why I'm having to pre-record this. Let's get right in to the content. Looking back at prep last week and looking forward into this week, especially with some of the schools that really interest us. First, the McDonough 35 Ron Eagles continue their great run, going to 8-0 last week, defeating the Riverdale Rebels 48-0. Coach Wayne Reese's crew has had an outstanding season so far, and they're coming down the stretch, going to a meet in a non-district game on Friday, playing the Warriors. That's going to be quite a battle because the Warriors are a very good football team as well, as they are traditionally. They just had a huge win over Independence last week. And then the big showdown, week 10, when McDonough 35 goes to Edna Carr on Thursday, November the 3rd. A huge battle for district and 4A supremacy in the local area. So once again, Coach Wayne Reese just doing a great job overall, as he's done for years. We talk about a legendary man and somebody I'm proud to call a friend. In fact, just a couple of weeks from now, we'll have McDonough 35 on our Prep Recruiting Insider show that we have on Wednesday on WHNO TV 20 here in New Orleans. Myself along with Renee Nato. So McDonough 35 continuing their great play. Let me give you some idea how good their defense has been this year. That they gave up 19 to St. Aug in week 1, 20 against Slidell week 2. Since that time, only 6 to Higgins, 13 to Lake Area New Tech, shutout Carver, 13 against Bellchase, only 7 to Warren Easton, none to Riverdale. Great defense by McDonough 35 is setting up their 8-0 going into this week's game at a meet. I certainly expect Coach Reese's crew to have another outstanding weekend. Looking at the St. Aug Purple Knights, they got themselves back on track this week after a tough loss to John Curtis in a turnover-filled game 2 weeks ago. The Purple Knights come back, go to 4-4 with a 38-20 victory over an excellent Thibodeau team here in New Orleans. So Coach Al Jones's team really has things going right for them as well. And they play Holy Cross this week, playing them on Friday, and then Archbishop Rummel to finish the regular season, week 10, playing at home against the Rummel Raiders on Friday, November the 4th. So great work by Coach Al Jones and the St. Augustine Purple Knights. Coach Jones will be on Prep Recruiting Insider next week with several St. Aug athletes, and Chad Jones is scheduled to be on the show as well with his father Al. And Chad, the great athlete at LSU that had the difficulty after a horrific car accident, get a chance to meet him and speak with him on the same show with his father Al. So there is 2 excellent football teams in the area, talking about St. Aug, talking about McDonough 35. And now let's look ahead to some of the other big games this year throughout New Orleans and throughout the state, as a matter of fact. And you can find all this information at sportsnola.com. Best prep coverage anywhere, sportsnola.com. You also could find a video in there of me talking about the Saints' loss at Kansas City. We'll spend more time on that in a second. But sportsnola.com and listen in to Countdown to the Original and the original Prep Football Report, Ken Trahan's original Prep Football Report. Ro Brown and I start at 6 o'clock from Lakeview Harbor. It's going to be Brother Martin night from 6 to 7. And then from 7 to 11, along with Ken Trahan, stepping in with Ro and I, covering across the state all the scores going on. So sportsnola.com, WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com. And don't forget the TuneIn app to be able to get us on your mobile device. But looking around the area, already mentioned, McDonough 35 going to a meet. Destrehan is going to Thibodaux. Destrehan, a superb football team, one of the best in the state. We'll see if Thibodaux could bounce back from their tough loss to St. Aug last week. We're looking at Warren Easton going to Carr. That's going to be a headbanger at Berman Stadium. Franklinton is playing Jesuit at Tad Gormley on Friday. Franklinton not quite as good as they've been in the past, but they've got another McGee playing at quarterback. And we had Jesuit on this past week on Prep Recruiting Insider, and Coach Mark Sanji talked about what an excellent prospect this young Mr. McGee is. Another one of the long line of McGees from Franklinton and the trouble that he can cause them. Also, Riverside is coming into Country Day. Country Day doesn't have lights on their field in Old Metairie, but they're bringing lights in for the game. So the Riverside Rebels taking on the Country Day Cajuns. Country Day is undefeated. They had a spectacular 51-21 victory last week over Newman to continue to go undefeated 7-0, the Country Day Cajuns. So we've mentioned many of the great games that we have in our area, and there's a lot more great ones, not only in New Orleans, but throughout the state. And of course, you can find it once again on sportsnola.com, all the information that you need to have about prep football in our area. It has never been better. I can tell you statewide, prep football has never been better than it has been this year. And even with all the other turmoil going on and the weird playoff system that we have, the kids are just doing an incredible job of playing, and the coaches are doing better than they ever have. So check us out if you want the very best in prep sports coverage.